everyone, this is Neha Tulsyan from Crescent Creation. Welcome to another video on my YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm creating this beautiful slimline Halloween themed card using Lawn Fawn products. This video is the first video of the 3 videos in which I'm going to show you how to use the giant Happy Halloween die set from Lawn Fawn in 3 different ways. Here I'm just going to quickly show you all the stamp sets that I've used to create this card. They are the Purrfectly Wicked add-on, Easter Party, Purrfectly Wicked Costume Party, and Screen Time. I've stamped all the images on white cardstock that's Copic friendly, and here I'm just showing you how I stamped the candies on my cauldron. It's super easy to line up both the images. These 2 images are from the Purrfectly Wicked and Purrfectly Wicked add-on stamp set. Now I'm going to use my Copic markers to color all my images. For my pumpkin here, I'm using YR18, YR27, YR24 and E97 Copic markers. I usually add a second layer of color to all my images, and since I have a lot of images to color, I'm just gonna show you the first layer. For the top of the pumpkin, I used YG99 and YG97 Copic marker. To color the pumpkin pale, I'm using YR18, YR04 and YR02 Copic markers. For my cauldron here, I'm using some cool gray markers. I'm starting with C10, blending that with C9. Next I'm using C7 and lastly we'll come in with C5 and blend everything out. I added a second layer of color to this image off camera. I'll go ahead and add some music for you to enjoy the rest of the coloring. Once I'm done coloring all my images here, I'm going to use my scan and cut to die cut all these images. And now I'll move on to creating my background. Here I have a 3 1/4 by 8 1/4 piece of white cardstock, and I'm using some Distress Oxide inks to ink up the background. I'm using Mustard Seed, Ripe Persimmon, Wilted Violet and Black Soot Distress Oxide ink. I started with Mustard Seed on top and then came in with Ripe Persimmon and blended both the colors together. Next, I added Wilted Violet Distress Oxide ink and tried to blend the right persimmon and Wilted Violet together. Don't overlap both these colors a lot or you will end up with a mud color. Lastly, coming in with black soot and blending the Wilted Violet and black soot together. Spraying some water using my distress sprayer and blotting it dry using a paper towel. Adding some black splatter to the background using my acrylic block and paintbrush. And that finishes my background. I'll hit it with my heat tool and then move on to the next step. Once dry, I'll go ahead and die cut the Happy Halloween sentiment from this background. Try and keep all the die cut pieces, the negative and the positive, together for later steps. I'll also die cut this sentiment out of white cardstock and keep it aside while I work on the rest of the pieces. Here I have die cut a hill out of black cardstock, and now I'm using some white pigment ink and blending brush and adding some color to the very tip of the hill. Now I'm gonna use a paper towel and just wipe off the excess ink. Next, I'll go ahead and glue this hill to my inked background using some liquid glue. Trim off the excess using my scissors. Next, I'm applying some temporary adhesive behind this panel and I'm gonna go ahead and glue this to a black slimline card base. The card base here measures 8.5 by 3.5 inches. Next, I'm gonna go ahead and put the Happy Halloween die cut in place, and keeping that as guide, I'll go ahead and glue the negative pieces around it using some liquid glue. Once this is done, I'll go ahead and remove the sentiment die cut. Now I'll go ahead and add some glue behind this inked die cut and glue white die cut behind it. While gluing, I'll offset these two a little bit. This way I will have a white shadow showing underneath the inked piece. Now I'll go ahead and remove my inked background, apply some glue behind it and glue it back to my black card base. I could have done this earlier too. I don't know why I chose to use the temporary adhesive. But if you are recreating this card, just directly glue the inked background to the card base using liquid glue. Do not use the temporary adhesive. Here I'm going ahead and gluing my sentiment die cut. And again, I'm offsetting this a little bit towards the right. And now I have double shadow showing underneath my sentiment die cut. Next, I'll start gluing my images together. I've turned my girl image from the Screen Time stamp set as a witch by adding a witch hat to her. The kid with the bunny costume is holding a spatula and the kid with the duck costume is holding the pumpkin pail. And here I'm using my X-Acto knife to separate the hands of the witch so that she can hold a potion bottle. Once all my pieces are ready, I'll go ahead and start gluing them to my card. I glued all the kids with some foam tape to my card. Glued the candy bowl directly using some liquid glue. Also gluing the cauldron with some liquid glue here. Gluing down the pumpkins to fill the seam. Here I'm stamping the smoke image from Purrfectly Wicked stamp set using some black ink on top of the cauldron. I also stamped the poof sentiment, and here I'm stamping the yay sentiment a couple of times all over the card. I had one of the warm images that was left that I forgot to glue. Here I'm just gluing that down. And for the inside of my card, I have a cardstock that measures 3¼ by 8¼ inches, and I'm stamping the sentiment, "Hope your Halloween is sweet." The "Hope your Halloween is stamped in black, and the "sweet" is stamped using the Wilted Violet Distress Oxide ink. And here I'm gluing that to the inside of my card, and this finishes my card for today. So this was my card for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to come back for the 2 other parts of this series. The second part will be uploaded on Monday. Here are a few more videos that you might like to watch. Thank you for visiting. Have a nice day.